My 19-year-old daughter Sophia was dumped by her boyfriend Marcus at her college graduation party in front of 200 guests because she wasn't attractive enough anymore after gaining 15 pounds. What Marcus didn't know is that I own the apartment building his parents rent from, and their lease expires in 30 days. Within 12 hours, I had his parents looking for a new place to live. But before we get to that, do us one quick favor. Subscribe, hit the like button while you're at it, and comment which city you're listening from so we can see how far these stories are reaching. My name is Daniel, and I'm a father who learned that some debts can only be paid in silence. I first met Marcus at a family barbecue 2 years ago. He was polite enough. He held the door open for Sophia. He brought a store-bought apple pie because he said his mom taught him never to show up empty-handed. I thought that showed good manners. I thought it showed consideration for others. I was wrong about a lot of things back then. The first warning sign came at Christmas dinner that same year. We were all sitting around the table. My wife Linda had spent hours cooking the ham, the mashed potatoes, the green bean casserole. Sophia had brought Marcus because his family was out of town. Everything seemed fine until Marcus looked at Sophia's plate. "You might want to skip the second serving," he said. "You know, just to stay in shape." The table went quiet. I looked at Sophia's face. She laughed it off like it was a joke, but I saw her hand pause over the potatoes. I saw her put less food on her plate for the rest of the night. After they left, Linda said I was overreacting when I brought it up. She said couples tease each other all the time. She said Marcus was probably just being protective. I let it go because I wanted to believe she was right. The comments got more frequent after that. I noticed it when Sophia stopped wearing the summer dresses she used to love. I noticed it when she started skipping Sunday breakfasts because Marcus didn't like eating early. I noticed it when she stopped hanging out with her friends as much because Marcus said she should spend more time with his circle instead. But Sophia always defended him. She said he cared about her. She said he wanted her to be her best self. She said I just didn't understand their relationship. I kept my mouth shut because she was an adult. I kept my mouth shut because I didn't want to push her away. I kept my mouth shut because I thought maybe I was out of touch with how young people dated these days. The graduation party was held at the Riverside Country Club. Linda and I had booked the venue 6 months in advance. We invited 200 people. Sophia's grandparents drove 4 hours to be there. Her Aunt Teresa flew in from Phoenix. We ordered a chocolate cake from the bakery downtown because it was Sophia's favorite. I wore my blue suit, the one I'd worn to my own college graduation 30 years ago. Linda wore the emerald dress that made her eyes light up. We stood near the entrance greeting guests as they arrived. Every few minutes, we'd look across the room to find Sophia. She was glowing in a light yellow gown. She looked beautiful. She looked happy. Marcus arrived late. He was wearing a suit I hadn't seen before. It looked expensive. More expensive than anything a college student should be able to afford. I didn't think much of it at the time. Maybe his parents bought it for him. Maybe he rented it. It didn't matter. The party was going well. Sophia gave a short speech thanking her professors and her parents. She cried a little. I cried too. Linda definitely cried. We took photos by the window overlooking the golf course. Sophia hugged me and said she couldn't have done it without my support. Then Marcus asked for everyone's attention. He stood near the head table where the cake was still waiting to be cut. He had a drink in his hand. He looked nervous. I thought maybe he was going to propose. The thought made me uncomfortable but also a little proud. If he was going to ask my daughter to marry him, he should have talked to me first. He should have asked for my permission like a man. But maybe the times were changing. "Sophia," he said, "we need to talk." I set down my glass. Something in his voice didn't sound right. "I can't do this anymore," he continued. "I've tried to make it work, I really have. But you just don't take care of yourself the way you used to. You've gained weight. You're not the girl I started dating. I'm sorry, but I'm not attracted to you anymore." The room went silent. Sophia stood there with her smile frozen on her face. Her hands were shaking. I could see them trembling from where I was standing. Her grandmother had her hand over her mouth. Her Aunt Teresa was looking at me like she didn't know whether to intervene or not. Marcus kept talking. He said he wished her well in her career. He said he hoped they'd both find what they were looking for. He said he didn't mean to make a scene, but he thought everyone deserved honesty. Then he walked out the side door. Sophia didn't cry at first. She stood very still. I watched her shoulders rise and fall like she was taking deep breaths. Then she looked at me across the room. Her eyes were full of tears. She ran toward me and I held her while she cried. "It's okay, sweetheart," I said. "It's going to be okay." But it wasn't okay. And I knew from that moment that this wasn't something I could just let go. The drive home was quiet. Linda sat in the back seat with Sophia. Every few minutes, Sophia would start crying again. Linda would hold her hand and tell her she was better off without him. I kept my eyes on the road, but my mind was working. I knew Marcus's parents rented an apartment from me. I knew this because I recognized their last name when Sophia first introduced him. I own 4 apartment buildings in the city. The one on Maple Street where the Hendersons live, the one on Oak Avenue with the red door, the one behind the grocery store, and the 3-story building on 5th Street where Marcus's parents have lived for the past 8 years. I don't get involved in the day-to-day management. I have a property management company that handles the leases and the maintenance calls. I mostly collect the passive income and stay out of the way. Most of my tenants have no idea I even exist. They think Mr. Patterson from the management office is the owner. That was about to change. The next morning, I called Mr. Patterson first thing. I told him I needed information on the 5th Street lease. He sent me the file by email within the hour. Marcus's parents, Richard and Patricia, had been month-to-month tenants for the past 3 years. Their lease wasn't set to expire for another 30 days. That gave me some time to think. But I didn't need 30 days. I needed 12 hours. I spent the morning making phone calls. First, I called my attorney, Jeffrey, to make sure I wasn't doing anything that would come back to bite me legally. He reviewed the lease agreement and confirmed what I already suspected. As the property owner, I had every right to non-renew a month-to-month lease. I just needed to give proper notice. Then I called Mr. Patterson again. I told him to draft a non-renewal letter. I told him to make sure it noted that the lease would terminate in exactly 30 days as per the terms. I told him to send it certified mail so there was a paper trail. That took care of the formalities, but I wasn't done yet. I called my friend Raymond, who owns a moving company. I asked him if he could fit a family of 3 into his schedule in about a month. He said he could. I asked him to keep it quiet if anyone asked. He said he understood. Then I called my other friend, Christine, who works at the credit bureau. I asked her what happens when someone has an eviction on their record. She explained the process. She told me how hard it makes it to rent anywhere decent. She told me how landlords run background checks and see those red flags. She told me it follows people around for years. I didn't tell her why I was asking. I didn't need to. By noon, the non-renewal letter was drafted and ready to go. Mr. Patterson was going to drop it off himself that afternoon. He thought it was just normal business. He didn't know the Henderson's son had embarrassed his daughter in front of 200 people the night before. Linda didn't understand at first. She asked me why I was getting involved in landlord business. She asked me if this was about Marcus. I told her it was. She asked me if this was revenge. I told her it was justice. "Sophia doesn't need us to fight her battles," she said. "I'm not fighting her battle," I replied. "I'm fighting my own." She looked at me like she didn't recognize me, but she didn't argue. She'd been with me for 25 years. She knew when I meant business. The non-renewal letter was served on Monday. Patricia Henderson called the management office on Tuesday to ask why. Mr. Patterson told her it was a business decision. He said the owner was selling the property. He said he was sorry for the inconvenience. The truth was, I wasn't selling the property. The Hendersons just needed to go. Wednesday, the Hendersons started looking for new apartments. Raymond told me they called his moving company for an estimate. He gave them a fair price but made sure they knew he was booking up fast. I told him to pretend he'd never talked to me. By Thursday, the Hendersons had found a place across town. It was smaller. It was older. It didn't have the same layout or the same kitchen, but it was all they could afford on such short notice. The landlord there didn't run a background check like most places did. I know because I called in a favor with a friend who knows a friend. On Friday, I drove past their building. I saw boxes piled up in the windows. I saw Patricia sitting on the front stoop with her head in her hands. I didn't stop. I didn't roll down my window. I just drove by like a stranger. Marcus showed up that weekend to help them pack. I heard about it from Raymond. He said Marcus looked stressed. He said Marcus was on his phone a lot making calls trying to find someone who could help. But there was nothing anyone could do. The lease was clear. The notice was legal. The 30 days were ticking down. The last week was the hardest. I know this because Sophia came over to the house every night. She sat at the kitchen table with Linda while I pretended to read the newspaper in the living room. I could hear them talking. I could hear Sophia wondering if she was doing the right thing. "It's weird," she said one evening. "I feel like I should feel guilty, but I don't." Linda asked her why she would feel guilty. "Because of his parents," Sophia said. "They're nice people. They didn't do anything to me." Linda didn't respond right away. Then she said something that made me put down the newspaper. "Sometimes we have to choose which family we're loyal to," Linda said, "and sometimes that choice isn't hard." Sophia was quiet for a long time after that. On the day the Hendersons moved out, I drove past their old building again. The windows were empty. The door was open. Raymond's crew was carrying out the last of the furniture. Patricia was standing on the sidewalk talking to a woman I didn't recognize. Richard was in the back of a moving truck securing a dresser. I pulled over to the side of the road. I got out of my car. Patricia saw me and her face changed. She knew. I don't know how, but she knew. "You're the owner," she said. It wasn't a question. I nodded. "Is this about Marcus?" she asked. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. She started crying. She said she was sorry about what her son did. She said he made a mistake. She said she tried to raise him better than that. She said it wasn't fair to punish them for his stupidity. I looked at her for a long time. I thought about the Christmas dinners they used to invite us to. I thought about the time Richard helped Sophia jumpstart her car in a parking lot. I thought about all the times they seemed like a decent family. Then I thought about Sophia standing in that country club with tears streaming down her face. I thought about her trembling hands. I thought about all the comments about her weight and her eating habits and her friends. I thought about how she stopped wearing her summer dresses and started skipping Sunday breakfasts. "It's not about you," I said finally. "It's about what he did to my daughter." I got back in my car and drove away. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel satisfied. I just felt tired. A few days later, Sophia came over for dinner. We were eating spaghetti when she suddenly put down her fork and looked at me. "Mom told me," she said. I looked at Linda. Linda looked at her plate. "She shouldn't have," I said. "She said you were protecting me," Sophia continued. "She said you did what most fathers would want to do but don't have the guts to attempt." I didn't know what to say. I took a bite of spaghetti. It tasted like nothing. "I'm not going to say you did the right thing," Sophia said. "I'm not going to say what he did wasn't horrible because it was, but I need you to know something." I looked at her. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for being angry. Thank you for not letting me cry alone. Thank you for being my dad." I reached across the table and held her hand. Linda started crying. Sophia started crying. I didn't cry, but I wanted to. People talk about karma like it's some kind of cosmic balance, I said. But I don't believe in that. I believe in action. I believe that when someone hurts people we love, we have a choice. We can pretend it didn't happen. We can let it go, or we can do something about it. What did you choose? Sophia asked. I chose to teach him that actions have consequences, I said. That nothing he does exists in a vacuum. That his words have weight. That they touch people. And those people have families. And those families have resources. Sophia was quiet for a long time. I don't want to be like him, she said finally. I don't want to tear people down to make myself feel better. You won't, I said. You're nothing like him. I got a job offer yesterday, she said, changing the subject. A marketing firm downtown. They want me to start in 2 weeks. That's great, Linda said, wiping her eyes. It pays well, Sophia said. I can finally move out, get my own place, maybe get a cat. You don't have to move out just because you can, I said. This is your home as long as you want it to be. I know, she said, but I think I need to try. I think I need to stand on my own feet, prove that I'm more than what some guy said about my weight. Linda and I looked at each other. We both knew there was nothing we could say that would change her mind. She was her mother's daughter. When she made up her head, that was it. I think that's a good idea, I said. Sophia smiled. It was the first real smile I'd seen from her in weeks. 6 months later, I heard through the apartment grapevine that Marcus had lost his job. The company he worked for was downsizing. They let go all the recent hires first. He'd moved back in with his parents, but there was a problem. The new place on 5th Street wasn't big enough for 3 adults. Richard had to downgrade the apartment even further. They'd moved to a 2-bedroom complex on the east side of town. The neighborhood wasn't as nice. The schools weren't as good. Raymond told me this over drinks at our usual bar. He said Marcus was struggling. He said he'd seen him at the grocery store once and he looked terrible. Unshaven. Dark circles under his eyes, walking through the aisles like a ghost. I didn't feel anything when I heard this. No satisfaction, no vindication, just a quiet understanding that the world has a way of balancing itself out. Sometimes people get what they deserve. Sometimes the universe takes its time. And sometimes fathers with apartment buildings help things along a little faster. Sophia is doing well at her job. She's been promoted twice in the first year. She has her own apartment now with a cat named Oliver. She comes over for Sunday dinner every week without fail. She brings wine and we talk about our lives. She went on a date last month. A nice guy she met at work. He held the door open for her at the restaurant. He laughed at her jokes. He didn't say a single word about her weight or what she was eating. She told me afterwards that she didn't know how to respond to someone being so normal. She said it felt unfamiliar. She said it made her appreciate what I'd done for her, even though she still didn't fully agree with the methods. I understand why you did it, she said. I understand that you wanted to protect me, and I know that what Marcus did was cruel, but I'm trying to move on. I'm trying to forget about it. You should, I said. Don't let him take up any more space in your head. I'm trying, she said. It's hard sometimes. I know, I said, but you'll get there. She left that night with a container of leftovers and a hug that lasted longer than usual. I stood at the door and watched her walk to her car. She was wearing one of her summer dresses, the yellow one from the graduation party, the one she hadn't worn since that night. She caught me watching and smiled. She waved. She drove away. I stood there for a long time thinking about fathers and daughters, about what we do for the people we love, about the lines we're willing to cross and the ones we're not, about justice and revenge and the thin line between them. I think about Marcus sometimes. I wonder if he's learned anything. I wonder if he's figured out why his parents had to move. I wonder if it keeps him up at night knowing that he threw away 2 years with my daughter for 15 pounds of flesh. But mostly I don't think about him at all. I think about Sophia. I think about her smile. I think about her yellow dress. I think about who she's becoming without him. And I think about the fact that I would do it all again in a heartbeat. If this story resonated with you, join our channel by liking and subscribing for more real, raw, and family-centered stories. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one.